introduction I've got to live up to, isn't it? How you guys doing? You well?
Yes.
Come on, guys. I need a bit more than that. Are you well?
Yeah.
Good. A few people are sitting in the audience doing this. Hopefully in about 10 minutes I can open that up. Guys, absolutely thrilled to be here. I get the privilege to speak at audiences all over the world around things that I'm passionate about. And obviously the thing that we're going to talk about today is very much in two parts. We're going to spend a fair bit of time talking about my story and why I'm standing on the stage. And then from there, I'm going to give you guys some practical tips around business, investing, and how you guys can hopefully live the life that you want to be able to live in your world. I think when I was asked to speak, one of the things that is always true for me was to share the real story, because often speakers can get up here and they kind of tell you this glamorous life about what they've done and what they've invested in, or how well their business has gone and what exit they've had, etc. But I think often they fail to sometimes tell you the background story and how they truly got there. So are you guys okay if I share the real detail of the deals, how things went and how the story actually went? You guys cool with that? Good. At the end, hopefully, if I have time, I speak a lot and fast, so if I do have time, I'll give you guys 10 or 15 minutes for some Q&A. So think about if you want to bank up any of those questions. So, how to invest in life and build a business for success. What a sweeping statement. Hopefully I can give this some substance. I'm at Rich_Bell_business leaders. If you guys want to jump on and follow me, if you want to get in touch, then please contact my EA. If you want to chat about anything investment, business or growth, she is at the back of the room. So, why are you guys here? Hopefully you are here because you want to network. You're here because you want to learn how to scale a company. You're here because you want to learn growth. You're here because you want to meet other business people. But I don't just want to guess that, I actually want to know. So if I can get a mic runner, I want 3 to 5 people to tell me why you guys are here. Why are you actually here in this room? Why do you want to listen to me? What are you trying to get out of today? And what are you trying to get out of this presentation? There we go. There's one at the front. There's one at the front, thanks. Thank you.
We always need to be sharpening the sword, and as much as we get to where we think we are a leader in life, we need to regrow. We need to regrow those shoots and to keep up with trends, and to make sure that you're surrounded by people who are wanting to do the same.
Yeah, cool. Love that. Who else is here for that? Yep, more knowledge, sharpen the sword. Anyone else? Yep, one there.
Lots of reasons, but I agree. So I really believe that you become like those you surround yourself with. So surrounding yourself with like-hearted people that have a big mission and are ambitious. You know, we're constantly learning and growing. And also, I mean, we're always students. You know, the leaders here are going to definitely teach us something to go home and apply. And I'm also have an event in a couple of weeks, and I thought, why not come and ask them how I can make it even better?
Totally. Right, one more. Yeah.
Okay, we've had business for 20 years now, and we love what we do, and we do a great job. We've won lots of awards just in the last year. However, our business seems to have got a bit stuck, and we're trying to do new things and think of new ways to get our name out there, so we're a brand to recognise.
Yeah, good. I love that. Guys, who else feels like, if you can be vulnerable with me here, sometimes business gets a bit stuck and you just need that next level of growth? The reason I wanted to ask that is because we're going to have a real conversation today. You know, I'm not going to put on a slick presentation and pretend the world is fluffy and rainbow. What I'm going to talk to you guys about is I'm going to talk to you about the mindset for growth, what's required for growth, and what's required to truly achieve what you want to achieve in life and business. I had to ask you that because I needed your permission so that I could actually talk to you as business owners who want a high growth company and who want to do the best that they can with their growth and with their life. If I didn't have that permission and I'm talking to you of just, you know, a bunch of people that are sitting around hoping or maybe trying to get better, none of this would make any sense. There's 2 buckets of people. The 2 buckets of people are those who are prepared to do what is required to build the life and business that they want, and the other bucket is those who are not prepared to do that, but they just talk about doing that all the time. So I want you to establish right now, which bucket are you in? Are you in that bucket of the people that is prepared to do what it takes to be able to get the results that you want in your life? Or are you in that bucket that talks about the things that you want to do and you talk about the goals that you're going to achieve, but you never actually do it? So decide now which bucket you're in. Has everyone made the decision? Good. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life story. So I grew up in a small country town way down the bottom of Hobart. Does anyone know where Margate is in Hobart? Oh, good, one person, good. Yesterday in the audience I had 6, that's great. So hey, I grew up in a small country town, 2,500 people, and I tell you this because I literally have zero permission to be here. I was from a small family business. The business is 3 generations strong. It started, as you can see there, in 1938, so it's an 81-year-old company. It's still going today. It started delivering parcels on a horse and cart. That is one of the very first motor cars that came into Tasmania that used to deliver the parcels on the horse and cart. My great-grandfather started that company. So small business, I guess, is in my veins, it's in my blood, it's what I've done from such a young age. Now, right now, this is the company. It still continues to ship stuff all around the world. It still continues to do what it does. My father is still the managing director of that company. I never wanted to take that business over. It wasn't my thing. As much as the pressure that I have to still take that business over, especially now, it's not going to happen. We didn't see eye to eye on that. My family didn't see eye to eye on that. And that obviously caused some conflicts around the age of 14, 15, when you're thinking, what am I going to do with my life? If I can explain my childhood to you guys a little bit, on a weekend, instead of going to have fun with friends, I used to have to work, right? So none of my friends would ever want to come and stay over because all the time you'd get a knock on the door at 6 a.m. and you'd have to go with Dad to work. So whenever you invited a friend over, they'd be like, no, I'm okay, mate. You can come and stay at my house, but I don't want to come and stay at your house. Does anyone here have a small business, family business? Yeah, they get it. So that was my childhood growing up. I was surrounded by small business. I was surrounded by, I guess, not the normal way of thinking, not the normal way of doing things. So that's where it was. Now, because of that conflict that we had, I moved out at a really young age. I moved out at a really young age and lived in that car there. I didn't have any money. I didn't have the support of my parents at all. I left school at 15 years old and I lived in that car for 4 months. Does anyone know what Devon is? What do you guys call it over here? Polony. Yeah, I've learned that about the Perth audience. So you've got like bacon and then like pastrami and then ham and like maybe polony or Devon's like down here. Yeah, so I genuinely lived in that car for 4.5 months because I didn't have any money and I knew that I didn't want to live the normal life. I didn't want to go back and work for the family business. At this point in time, I wasn't speaking to my parents. So it was a pretty tough time in my life. And the reason I share that with you is because so often we can be in a position where we think we're stuck, or we're in a position where we think we can't go to that next level, or we're in a position where we think as if I can do it because I've only got, at that time I had $13.95 in my bank account. And at that time, I knew that there was 22 slices of bread in a home brand bread packet because that's what I used to eat every day. You could get a black and gold bottle of tomato sauce. Yep, get it? Devon, white bread, tomato sauce, great meal. You can get that for about 99 cents. That's what I lived on for 4.5 months in that car at 16 years old with no support, by myself, crying most nights. So the reason why I share that with you is because often we can tell ourselves a story, and as we get older, we begin to not follow our dreams. We begin to think that, oh, it's not us, I can't have the great business, or I've been in this business for so many years, I can't do it, or my dad told me this, so I shouldn't do it, or I should follow this path, or, etc. So it's so important, no matter where you are right now, no matter what position you are in right now, whatever you think is your world, where you feel stuck or you feel like you're not qualified or you feel like you don't have the right advice or the right people around you, it's not true in the slightest. The only thing you have to do is make the decision to actually move out of that. And as long as your vision is clear for where you want to go and what you want to do, the actual starting position doesn't matter. I'll say that again. As long as your vision is clear and you know where you want to go and you know where you want to be, the starting position is irrelevant. In fact, I would argue that a disadvantaged starting position is actually an advantage. So at this stage of the game, I got my first job in sales working for that awesome company called Fitness First. Everyone knows who they are, right? Yes? Those guys that go around the street and give you stuff? Yeah, at 16 when you've got no qualifications, that's pretty much a good place to start. I did really well there. I was actually ranked in the top 5 in the world out of 5,500 salespeople. They flew me to London to open up all their sales offices over there. At that stage, commercially, I had 4 strands of strategy in place. My goal was to earn a good income so that I could, because I knew I needed money to start my businesses. And then my goal was thinking I need to start a side business or something because I'm not going to make money working for someone else. And I was like, well, hey, I think I need to start buying property because that's what everyone says you need to do to get wealthy, and no idea what I was doing. And then I'm like, well, I need to learn some stuff because I don't know anything yet. So think about this, 17-year-old kid earning $250,000 a year, sitting there going, how am I going to do this? I know that I need money. I know I should buy property because that's what everyone says. I need to start a business and I need to start reading books and surrounding myself with people and understanding what I need to do. But I'll come back to the same point again. The vision was always crystal clear. The vision was always crystal clear, regardless of what the path was and what the path looked like. Guys, understand, the path is not this beautiful linear equation. The path is like a freaking, like a squiggly pen on a whiteboard. Here's the problem. Most people get off that path. You ask most people, what are your dreams? What's your vision? Where do you want to be? What inspires you? What lights you up? That's a very different question to what do you do for work, right? And I think often we lose sight of that. Often when we're 16, 17, 18 years old, we lose sight of that. And that doesn't matter anymore because we have a house, we have kids. By the way, I have 3. We have kids, we get married, and we lose that spark inside of us. We lose that actual passion and purpose for where we want to go. And along that Christmas tree road, we just stop. That's the only thing that's different, is if you continue to go on that path and you keep that vision crystal clear. So that's what happened. I met my beautiful wife there at 21. I'm going to tell you not what to do when you buy property. Not that I'm a property guy, clearly, with this mistake. Who's ever bought a property unconditional? Meaning that you just buy it and you have to buy it? Yes, I did that at 20. Didn't know what that meant. There's a thing called subject to finance that I know now. Did not know what that was. And I got told once by a really wealthy investor that you should always have 4 or 5 different banks on the go because then they can't talk to each other. So what I did to get that first property was I got 2 credit cards, one from Bank 1, Bank 2, and I cash advanced 6 days in a row on one, and then cash advanced 6 days in a row on the other. Got the first homeowner's grant, and I definitely lived in the house. Once I got the first homeowner's grant, then I bought the property, unconditional, without any finance before that happened. So I tell you that story, but I haven't sold that property. I tell you that story because often you make decisions when you're young and vulnerable, and they're actually the best decisions you make because you're not thinking about the risk, or you're not thinking about what happens if that goes wrong, or you're not thinking about, hey, is that what I should be doing? Is that all the advice that financial advisors give me? Don't ever take financial advice from a financial advisor, by the way. Is that the advice that they're giving me or not, right? So the reason I share that with you guys is because that was the pivotal moment where I went and I decided that if I wanted to have a life, a business, a career, and do the things that I wanted to do, I had to think differently. The reality of it is the world, Australia, think in a certain channel of thinking, and that is go to school, work hard, listen to your parents, get a good job, pay off your family home, and you may be successful. The reality of it is 70 to 80% of people wake up every single day pissed off or depressed about what they're doing. Everyone's going here. If that's you, shut down your business and start a new one. It's not you because you started it because you're passionate about it. Yes, good. So hey, from there, I had a little bit of success in a couple of roles that I had. From there, I started Business Leaders Group. That was 6 years ago. So Business Leaders Group is my firm, which is a boutique investment and advisory firm. We work with around about 15 companies. 8 of them we have owned, started or invested in. The other 7, we sit on boards around the world or help companies grow and strategize and increase their performance. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what came next after we started Business Leaders Group. I met this guy called Jack Delosa, who is the founder of a company called The Entourage. The Entourage, I don't know if you guys have heard of The Entourage or not. Who has? Yep. So The Entourage is Australia's largest educator and advisors for entrepreneurs. We that was another risky move. So I invested in that business with Jack and the team. There was 5 of us in the early days. I threw in $250,000, which I didn't have. It was all the money I had from my first property that I shouldn't have brought. It was all the money that I had. See how this makes sense? Into that company. Very risky. It was a shared office in York Street, 5 staff, took an equity stake in the business and thought, I reckon this can do well. Dumb decision at the time. Great decision in hindsight. So the question I have for you guys is, when was the last time that you did something that was actually uncomfortable? When was the last time you made a decision that was inconvenient? When was the last time you actually said, you know what, I probably shouldn't make this decision, but I'm going to make it anyway? When was the last time you actually got inside of your business and took a risk? Because most business owners in Australia are losing money and cruising. That's the reality of it. So my question to you is, take 30 seconds now, think about or write down the last time that you took a risk, made a big decision, and actually put whatever on the line to make something come through. When was the last time you did that? Or are you cruising along with that a scarcity mindset, being safe, protecting stuff, trying to hold it all together? When was the last time that you made a decision that made you shit yourself? When was the last time you did that? That's a rhetorical question. You think about that. 10 seconds. I don't need to know the answer to that. But I just want to let you know that investment actually, I would say, was probably the cornerstone and one of the most incredible journeys of my career. We took that from 5 staff to a team of 90 plus. At one point, we had 120 staff. We took it from $2 million in revenue to $20 million in revenue in under 2 years. We were hiring 5 staff every single week. With the growth that we had, we were voted the 2nd best place to work in the entire country. Jack got posted as one of the best entrepreneurs in the country for that journey. We helped over 4,000 businesses who came through the Entourage programs, and the Entourage still exists today. Think about this, right? Here's a guy, small country town, didn't have anything, borrowed some money off some banks with some really high interest rates. Brought a property, shouldn't have brought the property, knew in his head he had a vision to own companies. He had a vision to help businesses, build businesses with great people. That property happened to get some growth. Call that luck, whatever. That property happened to get some growth. I started my own firm because I had a little bit of money there. I put all of the money into the Entourage that I had. I had 1 child and one in the womb of my wife. We lived in, was that a good description, ladies? Or was that a bad description? How would I have, 1 on the way? One in the womb is the same thing, right? So, the reason I share this with you, is because so often, right, I don't expect you to go, oh, wow, Richard, that's great. I'm telling you this because it's the lessons behind it. It's the principles behind it. How many people in my life do you think agreed with every decision that I made? Not many. Like, think about it logically, right? It's not a logical decision. You guys don't make logical decisions. No one wakes up and goes, oh, geez, I can't wait to start a business. I can't wait to start a business, not sleep, earn no money, go fucking grey within 2 years, not know what I'm doing. Let's do that. That's a great logical decision. No one does that because business is driven through passion and purpose. So as I said to you again, decisions and saying yes to more stuff and taking risks, like throwing $250,000 into a startup with 5 people in a corner office in York Street, can lead to great things. I'm not saying it always will, but here's the thing. Did I do it for the outcome? No. I did it for the process and the journey and the commitment to actually spending my life building companies, being an entrepreneur, being a business leader, and helping other companies grow as well. Often as business owners, the commitment is nowhere near where it needs to be because we quit when it gets too hard, or we say we're a business person, but then we're kind of not. We go and get a job on the side. We need to drive home the commitment of what we do. I left the Entourage operationally. Business Leaders Group still is the 3rd largest shareholder of the Entourage. So I'm on the journey now. I had a vision when I was 15 years old to own 50 companies. I read Richard Branson's book. He had 400. I don't know if you guys remember his first book. He had 402 companies, right? This is a guy who started in a London phone box, cold calling, selling to people with Virgin Records. So I thought to myself, well, if he can own 400, he's a POM, I can easily own 50, and I'm Aussie, right? So, sorry for the POMs in the room. I thought I could easily own 50, and it wasn't, again, this is a young, naive idea of a kid who had no idea, right? But then you fast forward 15 years, and those little visions and those things that you wanted to do with your life suddenly become real, and you suddenly start to do things that you never thought you could do, and you suddenly start to create what you wanted to create. Often whenever I get interviewed, people say, what do you think the secret is, Rich? Well, there is no secret, but I'll tell you one thing. Unless you believe and you can actualize where you're going and you believe it's already written, it will not happen. That's not some weird woo-woo rule. That is, unless you can actualize yourself and you genuinely believe that you are going to grow that company, start that business, end up and be that person that you want to be that great father you want to be or great mother you want to be, unless you can view yourself being that, it's never going to happen. Because your mind goes to work to actualize the stuff you think about and where you're going to be. But if you don't spend time doing that, if you don't spend time thinking about the future and you have no idea where you're going, by chance you'll probably end up nowhere. And I say that out of so much love. You have to know what the outcome is and genuinely believe that you are going to get there, or you won't. That's the reality of it. So the next deal was Unfiltered Media. So Unfiltered was a startup out of New Zealand. Again, I just wanted to tell you guys some proper commercial stuff around what's actually happened. Unfiltered Media, who's heard of Unfiltered? Anyone? Yeah, cool, couple of people. Unfiltered basically went around the world, interviewed the top 400 business people. Really funny. Whose book did I read at 15? Who did we interview? So funny, right? So we interviewed 400 successful business people around the world. We put it into a subscription-based model. I'm not a real fan of traditional education, so we put it into a subscription-based model. You pay $14.95 a week, and then you get access to listen to all their answers, like how do you raise capital, how do you structure a company, what do you do if your sales are crap, or etc. So that company still exists today. Again, risk. Right? Unfiltered still exists today. Happy to say, I invested in that business at a valuation of $1 million. It was 3 months old, and I exited that business recently, partial exit, at a valuation of $10 million. Right? That happened in less than 2 years. But again, it's about that belief and having those strategies for growth and believing that what you're doing is right. Okay? As I said, we successfully launched in the US. We raised $3 million in capital, and Unfiltered still exists today. So if you want to check that out, unfiltered.co.nz. Along the way, I've been incredibly lucky to meet and work with some incredibly successful people. You know, people like Mark Boris or Dori Kadahi, Michelle Bridges. There's Jack. There's Stuart Cook. If I look here, this is a guy called Nick Mowbray. Has anyone heard of Zuru? Zuru Toys, no, you probably won't. They make toys for Walmart. They make toys for Toys R Us, They make toys for Tesco's. So this guy, Nick Mowbray, 31 years old. He's worth $1.3 billion. He's a Kiwi. Moved to China when he was 18, slept in a bush, literally slept in a bush for 10 days because he wanted to save all his money to try and manufacture some toys. Yeah? He started manufacturing toys with his brother. That was 10 or 11 years ago now. I'm great friends with Nick. He was one of the guys that invested in Unfiltered with me. Now, if you look at that story, that's his house, by the way. If you think you've got a big house, you just look at that and you're like, oh, I'm okay, I've done nothing. So that's Nick's house. And the reason I tell you that story, again, it's the same thing. You can either choose to make that decision that that's what you want to be in life. And this is not about money. This is about business. But it's about you making that decision in your head that you're actually going to do something different in life and you're actually going to strive for that and you believe you're going to do that. And you go to China and you sleep in a bush for 10 days. That's the outcome. And again, comes back to the same challenge with business owners and people. You're either on the journey, you're either in the game and you genuinely believe that you're in the game, or you're sitting on the sideline, kind of watching, going, oh, they were lucky. Oh, how did they do it? How did they do it? It's that decision that I said at the start. You're in the game, you're going to have a crack, and this is a life journey, and that's what you believe. You're all business owners. All of you have the potential to actually be able to do what you want to do. Another story closer to home. Anyone heard of F45, gym chain? Yeah? They got a term sheet last week for $460 million to buy the whole thing. They said no, because they believe it's going to be $1 billion company. 2 guys out of Sydney who started a gym. So why can't you be that person, is my question. Unfiltered obviously went all around the world. We got some amazing media for that, and it was a great journey. So there we go. We got 2. Cool? So the goal's 50. We got 2. 48 to go. No, there's been several other investments from there, but this is the strategy. Now, if you remember, the strategy hasn't changed. I've obviously fast forwarded 10 years, right? So I've gone, I need cash flow because I need to be able to live and do the things that I want to be able to do. So you get cash flow from dividends, you get cash flow from board roles, you get cash flow from companies, you get cash flow from exits when they come in. Then you go, okay, now I've got the cash flow sorted, that's fine. Now I've got to start and invest in as many companies as I can to hit that goal. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to keep buying houses. I don't know why, I don't like them, but I'm just going to buy them for the kids because I'm not a renovator. And then I'm going to aim to be around 1% of people all the time that are the top 1% of people. Now, I don't expect you to copy what I've done. I'm sharing this story as a real story, not a nice polished presentation of this is what we did and then we drove a super yacht. I'm not telling that story. I'm telling the story of a kid who lived in a fucking car to now stand on stage and say, here is my clear strategy of what I did. My question to you is, what are you doing? What is your strategy? And you'll notice this strategy is not about business. It's my life. Do you understand the difference? It's about getting out of your business, looking on top of your business, and getting the strategy right for where you're going with your life. So that's Business Leaders Group today. We've got 8 companies under there that we own. We have 42 to go. So if there's any good startups in the audience, let me know. 42 to go. That's where we are today. And as I said, I feel incredibly privileged to be able to, go around the world, invest in companies, sit on boards, and not be operational in any of them, and have great CEOs who obviously run those businesses for me. So that's my story. Now I'm going to get into some lessons and some practical principles for you guys really, really quickly. I knew I'd run out of time. So they're the clients that we work with. I'll give the guys this slide deck if they want to use that as well. So here's an important thing around lessons and principles. Know who you are not. I'll say that again. Know who you are not. So many people want to be the founder. They want to be the guy in lights. They want to be the guy on stage. They want to be the person who has that has the Instagram. Every person's got the best app in the world. Every person I speak with, everyone's got the best startup in the world. But know who you are not. And no one ever tells you that. I'm not the front guy. I'm not the front guy. I find great CEOs who are the front guys. Know who you are not. I'm not the guy who invented some crazy app that made 100 mil. I'm not the guy who thought I could have one startup and then sit on a beach for the rest of my life. Again, this is not about me. Look through my content and think about the principles behind what I'm saying. Know who you are. I'm the guy that believed at 15 years old, if Richard Branson could have 400 companies, I could easily have 50. Now, if you say that to most people, they go, and how do you even think that's going to happen? I didn't know the answer at that time. I probably still don't, but it's happening, right? I'm the guy that worked hard for everything he has. I'm the guy who had $13.95 in a money tin living in a car. I'm the guy that did a stupid move and invested everything I had into one company. So who are you not and who are you? Or have you never thought about that? But it's a big question. Everyone wants to be the founder. You may not be the founder. You might be the investor. That's totally cool. You might be the 2IC. You might be the COO. You might be just the guy that doesn't even own the company and works for a great company. That's cool too. But know who you are not and know who you are. I just wanted some shameless plugs of my wife and some events, really. There's no point to that slide, but you can have a look at that. Let's talk about the mindset for growth. As I said before, you either want the goal or you don't want the goal. You either want to do what you want to do in your world, in your life, in your business, or you don't. Now, this is not some Tony Robbins seminar conference about motivation. It's nothing to do with that. It's about mindset and you making the decision whether you actually want the company growth, whether you actually want the life that you want, whether you actually want to raise the capital, and it's about you actually committing to it. Because if not now, when? If not now, when? Business moves so fast now. If you haven't got advisory boards, if you haven't got people around you, if you're not viewing yourself as a company that is actually growing, you're moving backwards. Because the market is moving so freaking quick at the moment. And you'll lose customers like that. And you'll wake up and go, shit, what happened? Where's the business gone? You need to be playing on the front foot. I talk about this a lot, right? It's the scarcity versus abundant mindset. A scarcity mindset is thinking that you're not enough, you don't have enough, you're never going to find the money to do what you need to do. That can never be you. Everyone's going, slap that out of you. The abundance mindset, and that's not hollow abundance, that's just thinking to yourself that you are worthy and that you can have what you want to have and you can chase the dreams that you want. That's a weird concept, isn't it? When you're taught to read and write and get good grades to impress the teacher. That's a weird concept that you can actually live a life that you enjoy, that you can actually have a business that you wake up freaking excited to go to every day, that you can actually have a life that you're passionate about. That's a weird concept. But it doesn't have to be if you make that decision. Be prepared to do what most people are not prepared to do. Don't follow decisions of your parents. Don't follow the different generation. I love my mum and dad so much and we're so close, but I would never listen to their advice because they're in a completely different generation. My dad doesn't even know what I do. Like still, he's like, oh, you do that investing thing. Hey, like, you know, what company is it? Like, they don't get it. It's different generation. Parents, don't tell your kids what to do. Teach them how to seek for the right advice in today's world. There must be a plan above all else that you're doing. So if you're in a company right now, or you're driving something, or you have a job, or you've got a startup, that's really cool. But chunk up that plan. And what does that look like for your actual life? Where does your strategy come from? Where is your cash flow? Where is your wealth creation? You know, where is your growth stuff? Where is your passion play coming from? Where are you surrounding yourself with the right people? Don't get stuck in the lights and get in your company. The minute you're operational is the minute you're shot because you can't see what's going on. Suck yourself out of your company and have the higher plan for your life. Here's some questions for you guys. Write them down, just take 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to ask you these questions and I want you to think about it. What principles do you live by to ensure that you actually win at life? Do you have any principles that you live by, or are you just hoping that things will work out? What principles do you live by? Oh, Rich, that's just a load of shit. Okay then, cool. Keep going, how you going? What principles do you live by? What are your musts versus your should? What must you do versus I probably should do that? What are your musts versus your should? Do you have musts? Do you have routines? Do you have things that you do? Again, I told you I'm speaking to you as an audience who wants to live a great life and have a great business and do well, yeah? What are your musts versus your shoulds? Think about that. To create massive action, you need massive change. When was the last time you made a massive decision or you had massive change or you got out of that relationship or you raised that capital or you fired that person or you did what you needed to do? To get massive action, you absolutely need massive change. I asked it before, I said, are you in the sideline? Are you on the sideline or are you in the game? Again, this is rhetorical. Are you on the sideline, just kind of watching, and then suddenly 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 10 years, shit, what happened? I'm too old now. Are you in the sideline, or are you on the sideline, or are you in the game? And the last thing I say there is, what are your personal promises to yourself? Do you have any personal promises? Do you keep your personal promises to yourself? Or do you let yourself down? It doesn't matter about who else you promise, it's that personal promise that you have. It's the personal promise that you've made to yourself. I'm going to talk a little bit about my belief systems for you guys, and then we can get into a little bit of Q&A. I think we've got 10 minutes left. Don't buy a house is the first thing I'm going to tell you all, if you haven't got one. Focus. I have a house, by the way, but focus your energy on what you love to do. Focus your energy on getting your business and your life and your craft and what you want to do for the rest of your life. And if you do that well, you can buy 50 houses. Get that sorted before you get married to a job that must pay the mortgage and pay the rates every week. Get that sorted first. Because if you have your income and your business sorted, as I said, you can buy 50 houses. Get over the Australian dream of owning your own home. It's a load of crap. It's our parents' generation. I'm not saying don't own a family home. I have one, but I made sure I sorted my business and my life and my passion out before I went and married myself to that level of mortgage. 90% of your decisions will come from people who don't 90% of your decisions won't be approved. Like literally. So if you're looking for approval from mum or dad or whoever you're talking with, that won't come. If you're looking for approval from people around you, it won't come. You're on a journey which is on your journey, and you're on your own journey. So if it's against the grain, it's a good decision. I knew I'd go over time. I'm going to quickly skip to lessons learnt, and then I'm going to do a quick Q&A with you guys. So, work ethic can never be substituted. Work ethic can never be substituted, no matter what you think. Now, I'm not talking about working 20 years, waking up at 4 a.m., working 7 days a week. I'm talking about there's times in your life where you have to go. And unless you choose a time in your life where you're going to go, you're never going to get ahead. So I don't know when that time has been for you. I don't know when you've had that time to go. But there is a period in your life where it's like, it's on. Know when that period is, and if you haven't had that period, find that period. For me, it was between 20 and 30, no question. I still work hard, but nowhere near like I did back in, when I was 25. I'm really old now, I know, I'm 29. Often a passion business will be the best business. And that's been true for me. When you make decisions out of passion and purpose and things you love and things you enjoy to do, and not just, I'm going to do this to make money, you will far exceed expectations there. I think about a business of mine called FitStop, which is a gym chain similar to F45, just a tiny bit better. They're in Brisbane. So I did this as a passion play. I invested in it. I had a co-founder. And I thought, yeah, it's really cool. Love the concept. It's a bit of a fun business. And less than 2 years later, we're the fastest growing franchise in the country. We've got 18 gyms open. We're set to have 60 open by the end of next year. And we're about to raise $2 million in capital. So it's funny how your passion play and the things that really light you up end up turning into the things that you really enjoy and the things that really do well. I'm going to send you the slides, but we've got 6 minutes for Q&A. I know sometimes when you hear someone me like speak, you want to ask a question. So we've got 6 minutes if you want to ask any questions about me, my life, presentation, business, etc. I will get these slides sent to you so that you can go through some of those principles and points. Any questions? There's one up the back here.
How did you mentally overcome your parents not sort of approving what you did? Like my husband's looking to get a franchise and...
A FitStop one? A FitStop franchise or?
No, unfortunately. But, all of our parents are like, oh, you're not going to be able to buy a house and all that. And it's just like, it's really played on us mentally. How did you kind of overcome that?
Yeah, wish we could have started with an easier question. But look, it's a great question. I think I still haven't, if I'm really honest. Like, I think all of us seek the approval of someone. And I definitely do of my dad, like for sure. He's a business person, but I think it's about in terms of internally, it's about going, if I don't make the decision and I listen to them, is it my life or theirs? Because it's never been about the outcome, right? So if everything blows up in my face and, I lose everything, but I actually don't, it's not going to affect me too much because I'm not attached to it, because it's never been about material things, or it's always been about the journey and the choice to live a life how you want to live it and not listen to kind of the average person. I think most people's life sucks, to be honest. No, I'm not being rude when I say that, but you just go to work, come home, go to school, come home, do the work. I couldn't think of anything worse. That's not wrong for other people. It's just wrong for me. So it's really silly for me to listen to other people's advice who are living that life. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Have mentors been a big impact on getting you to where you are now?
100%. Yeah, I reckon I've spent on mentors, coffee catch-ups. I remember paying one guy $1,000 for a 1 hour coffee to pick his brain about what he did, I can't say what it is, but about what he did to make his business work. I reckon I've spent $300,000 to $400,000 over the last 10 years in development, flights, courses, just investing in myself. And yeah, absolutely. I would not, people, like Jack, people like that around those, Ruslan Kogan, the Mark Borises, I've been around that circle for a while now, and without question, there's a really big principle which keeps reigning true for me, which is if you're not surrounding yourself with those people and you're not getting advice or paying for someone to actually help you go to that next level, and they're not where you want to be, it's very hard for you to get there. It's like if you've surrounded yourself with people, or your board or a mentor, and they've done what you want to do, it's actually quite easy. But if you haven't got that outlet, the self-doubt kicks in, you haven't got what you need to be able to drive.
Hey Rich.
Hey mate.
One of the things that I'm really interested to know is your circle of friends. Obviously, me being on the journey where I am right now, I've noticed that my circle of friends don't believe in what I want to do. It took me a while to kind of get over the fact that, it's okay to be lonely in this journey.
Yeah.
Were you lonely in your journey when you knew your vision?
Yeah, a lot. That's the sad thing is probably a lot. Yeah, I think it would be remiss of me and silly of me to say that I guess a life like this does come with certain sacrifices. It doesn't mean you're not friends with people, it just means you kind of go your different paths, right? If someone's a surfer and someone's a footballer, they're probably not going to hang out on the weekends because one's playing football and one's surfing. I think for me, obviously my friends now are most of the time business owners or people in my circle. It makes life easier. But yeah, I think, you also have to look deeper at a friendship level. I've got friends that I went to school with, and I'm still great friends with them. I don't see them every weekend, but I still have a respect there for them. I think circle of influence and friends are actually two different things.
Hey Rich, thanks for the presentation. I don't know if this is a stupid question or anything, but how did you come up with the questions to ask mentors to further grow your business?
Yeah, great question. I'd probably start with identifying what you think's wrong with your business, and then delving into those areas. So if you can list, often a business owner wants to tell you everything that's right with their business and how good it is and how much money it's going to make and what it's going to do, but flip it and look for everything that's wrong with the business. Look for everything that you think is a hole, and then take that to your mentor. In the early days, people used to say, God, Rich, you're always just trying to pick out the holes. I'm like, yeah, that's my job, right? I'm not, of course I'll tell you the great stuff, but the most respect I can give anyone is to actually help them with the stuff that they need help with, not pump up their tyres.
What up, right at the back there?
Hey, mate.
What's your strategy on decision making? If you're going to make a big decision and stuff like that,
Yeah,
has anything changed ever since you?
Great question. I think it's pretty similar. I always ask myself internally, is this decision going to move me? It's pretty simple, closer to where I want to be. And if that answer is yes, I'll make that call. If it's further away, then I'll make that call. But I think decision making becomes really hard when you don't know where you're going and you don't know where you want to be because you don't know what to say yes or no to. But if you've got a clear path and a clear vision, like if someone said to me, now Rich, I'll give you $5 million a year, come and be the CEO of this company, what do you think I would say? No, because it's not about money. It's nothing to do with that. It's about actually driving towards my vision. So it becomes really easy what to say yes to and what to say no to.
And do you like go back to your mentors and all of that to make decisions, or you just?
Yeah, probably not so much anymore. Like a big one, of course. But I think with not that I'm old, but I've kind of been rolling solo now for 15 years. So you do develop intuition, but you definitely for big decisions, absolutely.
Maybe one last question. Yeah. Okay, I think it's a good one too.
That's a good question, guys. That's good, huh?
Yeah, good work.
So I think a lot of people struggle with the whole move from scarcity to abundance. It's something I'm trying really hard to work on at the moment, mindset, lots of different things. But I find I just go back and forth all the time. So how do you find is the best way or the most impactful way to move into that abundance mindset and stay there?
Yeah, often mindset's a thing which requires decisions to make it work. It's not just you can't just go sit around and go, I'm going to be positive. Like it's not, or I'm going to think good things are going to happen. Like having an abundance mindset is actually trusting that and making a decision to prove that, hey, you know what? I've got an abundant mindset, not because I think like that, because I've just made that decision. Like I've made that scary decision that I'm trusting that it will work out and you will find a way. So once you make that decision, you then put into the next phase where you're like, oh shit, now I've got to make it work. And then you start to make it work and that develops an abundant mindset. Of course, there's the normal stuff, whether it's listening to stuff, PDs or podcasts or having mentors, just like shit in equals shit out, right? So if you're listening to negative conversations, people whinging about how tough the market is and how bad their business is, which is the average small business owner, surround yourself with people who are having great conversations and who are talking about how good the market is and talking about the opportunities that are in the market. Because trust me, in any market, a down market is actually the best market to start a business or launch something, and there's the most opportunities in that market. Cool. One more.
In changing not your circle, but chasing after, how did you find those opportunities to invest in and that direction?
Yeah, totally, mate. Yeah. I think, well, first of all, I needed some to get some wins on the board so that I could, I'm a big believer that you can't stand up here and be a business owner or investor or a business guy unless you've actually done something. On social media now, everyone's a business coach, right? So for me, I'm not a business coach at all. We run an investment firm that actually puts our money in there. So it's about developing a few wins in the early days, I think, to actually develop a bit of track record and then a bit of cash. From those wins, you'll start to develop a bit of a reputation. And then I think from reputation, then, then it sort of, it comes in a weird way. But I think as well, being opening up your circles, and whether you've got a board or whether you've got friends that are in business, or tapping into the Australian business community is pretty small. Tapping into some of those, be it high net worths or successful CEOs or good founders and startups that are doing really well. Tapping into that circle and identifying yourself as one of them is really important. Often small business and the entrepreneurial journey can be quite lonely. So try and tap into some of those places. Cool, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and look forward to meeting you.